The mountain air is sharp, carrying the scent of pine and stone. Below, the world moves in haste. But here, at the secluded dojo, time flows differently. A warrior arrives, not for glory, nor for applause, but for something far more dangerous: mastery of himself. His name is Takumi, and his mind is restless. His body trained, yet his spirit untested. He believes skill alone can shield him from fear, doubt, and failure. Master Hayato waits, calm and unyielding. The fiercest battle, he says, is not against the enemy you see, but the one you hide from inside. Takumi is forced to leave his weapons, to sit, to breathe, to observe, to feel the silent storms that rage within him. Here begins the path of the Ninpo Method, a system forged through centuries, designed not to create fighters, but unbroken warriors. Every strike he is trained for, every strategy he has learned, means nothing without discipline of the mind. Presence is his weapon, silence is his ally. Fear becomes a compass, ego a shadow to dissolve. Through rigorous tests, deliberate labor, and inner trials, Takumi will confront himself. Only then will he understand that the warrior's path is not about adding strength, but about shedding illusion. The unbroken warrior is not celebrated. He is unseen yet invincible. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and share, so I can keep bringing you great content. Chapter 1. The warrior who cannot wait. Takumi's boots crunched over the frost-laced mountain path, each step echoing with ambition. The dojo rose ahead, carved from dark timber and stone, shrouded in mist. He carried himself with the pride of skill, his blade honed, his reflexes sharp, yet his mind restless, craving motion, craving victory, craving recognition. Master Hayato awaited, seated beneath an ancient pine, eyes closed, posture perfect, radiating a calm that made the mountain itself seem to pause. As Takumi approached, he instinctively reached for his sword, a gesture that drew a faint sigh from the master. "Weapons are not needed here," Hayato said, his voice low but unyielding. "Leave them. All battles begin with the mind." Takumi bristled. "I came to train in combat," he said, words edged with frustration. "I seek strength, not stillness." Hayato opened his eyes slowly. "And yet the strongest warrior is he who commands himself first. Discipline begins where desire ends. Sit." Reluctantly, Takumi obeyed. He settled onto the wooden floor of the dojo, cross-legged, the wind carrying whispers of distant peaks. Silence enveloped him, and for the first time he noticed the ceaseless churn of his thoughts. Impatience, fear of inadequacy, the desire to prove himself to the world. Every breath felt uneven, every muscle twitching with unspent energy. Hours passed, or perhaps minutes. The mountain measured time differently. Takumi struggled, his mind rebelling against stillness. His body twitched, his thoughts darted, images of combat and conquest intruding unbidden. He realized that the real battle was not with opponents, but with himself. Each impulse to act, each judgment and comparison, each ego-driven desire became an opponent to be observed and mastered. Hayato's voice broke the silence. Presence is not earned through motion. It is cultivated through attention, through patient witnessing of your own mind. Observe without acting. The storm passed without disturbance. Takumi's pride resisted. Hours of stillness seemed empty, unworthy of a warrior's time. Yet, as he observed the dance of thoughts and the flutter of his own impatience, he began to perceive something subtle, a pattern in his restlessness, a rhythm in his fear. With each breath, the mind's noise softened, revealing moments of clarity he had never allowed himself to see. He was confronted with the simplest yet most terrifying realization. He could not control the world, nor victory, until he controlled himself. Every strike he had practiced, every maneuver honed in previous training, would remain hollow if the mind fractured at the first touch of challenge. True power, Hayato had said, begins internally. By evening, Takumi's muscles ached not from combat, but from the strain of stillness. His eyes, once sharp with expectation, now held quiet vigilance. Each exhalation carried away fragments of impatience. Each inhalation anchored him deeper in the present. The dojo was no longer a place to prove skill. It was a mirror reflecting the battle he had long avoided, the one within. Master Hayato finally spoke, the calm in his voice cutting through the residual tension. The warrior who cannot wait, who cannot stay present, fights only shadows. Mastery begins when the mind rests and the spirit observes. Takumi bowed, understanding in a pulse of clarity. Combat would come, but only when the mind could hold still. Until then, every attempt to act without presence would be wasted effort. He had arrived seeking skill. But the first lesson of the Ninpo Method was clear. To be unbroken, he must first conquer the storm inside. As night descended and the mountain winds whispered through the pines, Takumi sat, silent but vigilant, feeling the pulse of discipline settle into his bones. This was the beginning, the first step on a path where every external challenge would be trivial compared to the battles he would wage within. Morning arrived over the mountain like molten silver spilling across jagged peaks. Takumi followed Master Hayato through narrow paths, past windswept pines and moss-covered stones, until they came upon a pond, still as glass. The locals called it the Mirror of Shadows, a place where water reflected not form, but the state of one's mind. Takumi's reflection shimmered. At first he saw only his own face. Sharp jaw, determined eyes, the blade of ambition glinting in his gaze. Yet as he peered deeper, the pond seemed to strip away the mask. Beneath the surface lay something raw. The tremor of fear he had long ignored, the weight of impatience, the ache of inadequacy. Ego twisted the reflection, molding his courage into arrogance, his desire into compulsion. The pond revealed not a warrior, but a man fragmented, driven by shadows he had yet to confront. Hayato's voice cut softly through the mist. Look at what lies beneath, Takumi. Do not turn away. This is not an enemy to strike, but a truth to acknowledge. Fear is the compass that points to your next step. Takumi clenched his fists, frustration coiling in his chest. Pride urged him to retreat, to dismiss the vision as illusion. Yet the still water offered no escape. With deliberate breath, he forced himself to stay, observing each tremor of thought without judgment, each flicker of desire, each pang of insecurity. His mind, once a torrent of scattered impulses, began to reveal its fractures. Hayato instructed, name what arises. Observe without clinging. Do not resist. Watch the ego, watch the fear, watch the longing. Only then can clarity emerge. Takumi inhaled, feeling the chill of the mountain air fill his lungs, grounding him. Full his lungs, he began to catalog the patterns of his mind, the compulsion to prove himself, the fear of inadequacy, the incessant drive to act before understanding. With each recognition, the grip of these shadows loosened slightly. The pond's surface reflecting a mind less turbulent. Hours passed in silence. Each ripple on the water mirrored the subtle tremors of awareness settling within Takumi. He noticed how distraction always followed desire, how focus fractured when he sought validation or feared judgment. The lessons of stillness from the previous day took root, but now they were sharpened with insight. Presence was not merely sitting, it was seeing clearly, observing the self, and naming the truths hidden beneath layers of pride. Hayato approached, standing at the water's edge. A warrior who cannot remain present is always guided by fear or desire. Clarity arises when observation surpasses reaction. This is the essence of the Ninpo Method. Takumi knelt beside the pond, letting the cold brush of water reflect his gaze. For the first time he felt humility, not born from defeat, but from recognition. Strength, he realized, did not lie in striking harder, faster, or with more precision, but in the ability to hold one's attention steady in the face of inner turbulence. The mountain wind stirred, ruffling the pond's mirror, yet Takumi's focus remained unbroken. Shadows rose and fell within him, but he met each one without flinching. Fear was no longer a tyrant to evade. It became a guide, showing the path toward clarity, presence, and unshakable discipline. By evening, Takumi's mind had shifted. The restless tide of thought still ebbed, but now he could observe the waves without being swept away. He understood that distraction was merely a symptom of an untrained mind. The warrior who mastered attention could turn every impulse, every challenge, every moment of chaos into an opportunity for focus and power. Hayato's voice, calm and unwavering, offered the final instruction for the day. The mirror reflects what you refuse to see. Confront it, learn from it, and the next action you take will be guided not by fear, but by presence. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to remain aware despite it. Takumi rose from the pond's edge, shoulders straighter, eyes sharper. The reflection in the water was no longer a figure ruled by shadows, but a warrior beginning to reclaim his mind. The journey toward mastery would not be easy. Every battle outside the dojo would be meaningless if the inner turbulence persisted. Yet for the first time he felt a glimmer of unshakable focus, a presence born of confrontation, awareness, and disciplined observation. The morning fog clung to the mountain slopes like a shroud, softening the jagged lines of the earth. yet sharpening the clarity of Takumi's thoughts. After the revelations at the mirror pond, Master Hato did not allow the warrior to rush into combat or display his skill. Instead, he assigned Takumi tasks, so simple, so mundane. They seemed beneath a swordsman of his ambition. The first task was sweeping the dojo courtyard. Dust clung stubbornly to the stones, and every sweep seemed insignificant. Takumi's ego bristled. Every fiber of his being screamed for challenge, for recognition, for action that could prove his worth. Yet Hayato's voice was firm. You do this not for others. Do this not for praise. Do this until your mind is empty and your presence full. Aww. Takumi began reluctantly, the bristles of the broom scraping rhythmically against stone, each movement precise yet repetitive. Initially, his mind wandered, counting strokes, planning the day, replaying moments of perceived inadequacy. Each attempt to escape the simplicity of the task only magnified his impatience. He realized that mastery was not always measured in the dramatic, but often in the quiet attention given to the smallest duties. After sweeping, Takumi was ordered to fetch water from the nearby stream. Each bucket was heavy, and each step deliberate. The mountain air was crisp, yet he felt the weight of his own pride pressing down upon him. Hayato watched silently, allowing no word of complaint, no hint of instruction beyond the simple command. Takumi's hands ached, his muscles burned, yet with each trip, he began noticing details he had previously ignored. The rhythm of his own breathing, the gentle ripple of the stream, the way light scattered across moss and stone. Through this deliberate repetition, Takumi began to understand Mu no Kokoro, the empty heart. Explained, the empty heart does not seek reward or recognition. It moves, acts, and observes. Skill arises from presence, not desire. At first, Takumi resisted, his mind bristling against the monotony, yet slowly, the repetition became meditation. The act of bending to pick a stone, carrying water, sweeping dust, each became a practice in awareness, a lesson in humility. Serving the younger students brought a different challenge. Takumi's pride demanded authority, recognition, and deference. Yet he was instructed to kneel, to attend, to place himself beneath those he once considered inferior. Each act of service was a mirror, reflecting his own ego back at him. The frustration he felt was a burning heat, yet it forged patience as his focus shifted from self to task, from recognition to presence. Days passed in this pattern, each task simple, each repetition deliberate. Takumi began noticing subtle transformations, a calm settling into his chest, a sharpening of his senses, an internal clarity that had eluded him amid ambition and haste. The mountain air, the feel of broom against stone, the weight of water, each sensation anchored him to the present, each moment a reminder that mastery is forged not only in grand gestures, but in the disciplined attention given to the ordinary. Hayato observed quietly. A friar seeks display, but the warrior who masters the mundane masters himself. Through humility, your mind becomes steel, tempered by patience and focus. Only then can you wield strength without the shadow of evil. Takumi reflected on the contrast between this quiet labor and his previous desire for immediate action. He realized that skill, divorced from character, was hollow. The sword in his hand, the precision of his strikes, the speed he sought, all were meaningless without the integration of mind, body, and spirit, rooted in discipline and humility. Each mundane task repeated without expectation was a small crucible, transforming ego into presence, restlessness into stillness, and ordinary movement into deliberate mastery. By evening, as the mountain sun sank behind peaks veiled in mist, Takumi felt a subtle shift within himself. The agitation that once drove every action had softened. He moved with intention rather than impulse. Each gesture, from sweeping to carrying water to bowing in service, became a practice in presence, a meditation in motion. The lessons of humility were taking root, and with them, a quiet, unshakable strength began to emerge, a foundation upon which the true path of the Ninpo Method would be. The mountain remained silent, yet it echoed with understanding. Mastery is not achieved in grandiose demonstrations, but in attentive service, repeated action, and the disciplined surrender of ego. Takumi understood, finally, that to conquer the battlefield outside, he must first conquer the subtle, unseen battles within, forged in the humbling, everyday tasks that no one would notice, but that shaped the heart of a warrior. Thunder rumbled over the mountain peaks as twilight descended, painting the dojo in a dim, restless glow. Takumi followed Master Hayato through winding stone corridors, each step heavy with anticipation. Ahead lay the Hall of Severing, an ancient chamber where generations of warriors had faced the raw truth of their inner selves. Tonight, Takumi would confront not opponents, not the clash of steel, but the turbulent battlefield of his own mind. The hall was vast, dark, and unyielding. Candles flickered along the walls, casting long shadows that seemed to breathe with a life of their own. Hayato spoke once, his voice calm yet firm. "You will sit here alone. No movement, no distraction, no escape. All that you have avoided within yourself will come forward." He placed a single cushion at the center and departed, leaving Takumi with the weight of his own consciousness. At first, Takumi tried to steady himself through breath, inhaling, exhaling, counting each breath. Yet the storm within him, fear of inadequacy, the compulsion to act, regret, longing, rose unbidden. Memories of past failures surfaced, old ambitions mocked him, and his mind raced like wind through the pines outside. He clenched his fists, willing the thoughts to stop, but the harder he tried, the stronger they became. Hours stretched interminably. The storm outside intensified, lightning illuminating the hall in brief, blinding flashes. Takumi felt the raw edge of fear of being powerless, of being forgotten, of being nothing without accomplishment. Every instinct urged him to leave, to act, to escape. Yet the absence of external activity forced him inward. Here, Hayato's lessons in humility and patience found their trial. Each wave of fear became an opportunity to observe without reaction. Each restless impulse a mirror to the ego he had begun dismantling. Takumi's body ached, his mind screamed, and the shadows seemed to lean closer with each passing hour. But gradually, a subtle shift occurred. Instead of fighting the rising tide of thoughts, he began to witness them. Each fear, each memory, each desire became an object of observation, detached from judgment. He noticed the rhythm of his own heartbeat, the sound of rain striking the roof, the scent of the wet stone floor. Awareness expanded, presence deepened, time became meaningless. The distinction between inside and outside self and thought began to blur. Fear lost its dominance when unresisted, and desire lost its urgency when observed without attachment. Takumi experienced the first true taste of what Hayato had meant by the Ninpo principle. Mastery is not action imposed upon the world, but the unwavering alignment of mind, body, and spirit with the present moment. By midnight, exhaustion became a companion, rather than an enemy. The frantic restlessness of his mind softened into a steady, silent vigilance. The candlelight seemed to pulse with his own calm heartbeat. Takumi realized that every external skill he had learned, every strike, every movement was meaningless unless grounded in this inner clarity. The Hall of Severing was not punishing him, it was refining him. As dawn approached, the storm outside subsided, leaving a clear, cold morning. Takumi emerged from the hall, lighter, calmer, and centered in a presence that no longer trembled at fear, regret, or longing. The night of severing had stripped away the illusions of ego, exposing a mind disciplined, attentive, and unbroken. Where before he had been reactive and impulsive, now he was anchored, capable of observing, choosing, and acting with clarity. He understood that this crucible was not an isolated trial, but the very essence of the warrior's path. Every battle, every challenge, every choice in life would now be met not with scattered force, but with deliberate, conscious action rooted in the mastery of self. The invisible groundwork of courage, patience, and awareness had been laid. Takumi stepped from the hall into the first light of morning. The world remained unchanged, yet he felt entirely transformed. The mountain air, crisp and clear, carried no applause, no recognition, only the silent confirmation that the inner battlefield had been won. He was ready to integrate this insight into every movement, every decision, every interaction. The morning air clung to Takumi's skin with the crispness of new snow as he returned to the dojo courtyard. The echoes of the night of severing still lingered in his mind, silent, unyielding, and clarifying. He moved differently now, each step deliberate, his breath steady, his awareness anchored. Master Hayato observed him with quiet approval, recognizing that the inner crucible had tempered not only Takumi's spirit, but his capacity for disciplined action. Training resumed, but it was unlike anything Takumi had experienced before. Movements were slower, measured, and deliberate. Every strike of the sword was executed with mindful attention. Every stance adopted with full awareness of posture, balance, and intent. Hayato reminded him, a strength without stillness is wild. Stillness without strength is hollow. Only when they meet does the warrior become unshakable. Takumi felt the truth of these words in his bones. Each action now flowed seamlessly from mind to body, the restless impulses of haste and ego quieted by presence. He practiced with his fellow students, yet the exercises became almost meditative. In sparring, he did not seek to overpower but to observe, to respond rather than react. His perception sharpened. He anticipated movements not through speed alone, but through awareness. Each motion became a study of cause and effect, an opportunity to refine both skill and consciousness. He felt the subtle difference between force imposed and force channeled, between action driven by ego and action born of clarity. The garden became another classroom. Carrying water, tending plants, and sweeping the courtyard were executed with the same attentiveness as sword practice. Takumi noticed how mindless repetition had once dulled his spirit. Now, repetitive motion became a gateway to presence. The mundane, when performed fully, revealed its depth. A fallen leaf, a ripple in the pond, the pattern of wind through the trees. Awareness magnified the impact of each gesture, turning simple acts into profound training for mind and body alike. Hayato introduced the final stage of integration, combining stillness and action. Takumi was to perform sequences of combat, gardening, and meditative breath in uninterrupted flow. Initially, his body resisted. The habits of hurried effort clung tightly, but the discipline of observation, earned through countless hours of inner struggle, guided him. Movements merged with thought, and thought aligned with breath. Takumi felt a quiet power arising from the union of all faculties. Strength was no longer loud or forced. It was precise, potent, and effortless. Even small decisions began to carry weight. Choosing when to speak, when to move, when to rest, each action was now rooted in conscious choice. He noticed how often the ego had dictated previous behavior, compelling him to act for recognition out of fear or to fill emptiness. Now decisions were anchored in awareness, each aligned with the principles of Ninpo. Takumi understood that mastery was not measured by external victories, but by the quality of presence in every moment. Physical exertion revealed internal calm. In endurance training, fatigue became a teacher rather than a limiter. In combat drills, mistakes became opportunities for observation, not sources of frustration. Takumi's mind no longer scattered. He could witness fear, pride, and distraction without surrendering to them. Energy was focused where it mattered. Unnecessary tension fell away. His movements grew fluid, his perception keen, and his responses swift without haste. This was the essence of strength through stillness, power arising naturally from disciplined awareness rather than brute force. By the end of the day, Takumi stood in the center of the dojo courtyard, observing the mountains bathed in the soft glow of evening. Every lesson, every trial, every hour of practice had converged into a state of calm potency. Hayato approached and nodded once, silently acknowledging the transformation. Takumi felt no pride, only quiet certainty. The restless warrior had been replaced by one capable of deliberate, present action. Strength in stillness was no longer an abstract concept. It was lived, embodied, and observable in every choice, every movement, every breath. Takumi realized that mastery was not a goal to reach, but a state to inhabit. The unshakable alignment of mind, body, and spirit. The restless impulses of his past had dissolved, leaving a warrior capable of moving through life with precision, awareness, and unyielding focus. The first light of dawn painted the mountain in soft gold, illuminating the quiet dojo where Takumi had spent months of relentless training. The air was still, as if holding its breath in anticipation. Takumi stood at the edge of the courtyard, gazing down the winding path that led into the world beyond. Today, he would descend. Yet, unlike the eager youth who had arrived months earlier, he felt no rush, no need for recognition or proof. Master Hayato approached silently, his presence as commanding as ever, and spoke with calm authority. "Takumi," he said, "the world values spectacle. Speed, noise, and visible victories draw applause, but the unbroken warrior moves unseen. The mastery you have forged here is not for the eyes of others. It lives quietly within your mind, body, and spirit." Takumi nodded, feeling the weight of those words sink into him. Every lesson, the restless impatience confronted in stillness, the shadows of fear observed in the mirror pond, the humility learned through mundane tasks, the inner battle endured during the night of severing, and the integration of strength and stillness had prepared him for this moment. All mastery was invisible. The world would not honor it, yet it would shape every step he took, every decision he made. The path down the mountain was steep, lined with stones smoothed by centuries of rain. As Takumi walked, he noticed the small details that once escaped him. The subtle tilt of a tree branch, the whisper of the wind through the grass, the rhythm of his own breath. Presence had sharpened his perception. Where before distraction had fragmented his attention, now every sense was alert, yet calm. Each footfall was deliberate, each choice aligned with the principles of Ninpo. Encountering villagers along the trail, Takumi moved without hurry or desire for recognition. A child stumbled near him, and he instinctively steadied her with a calm hand. A merchant asked for directions, and he guided with clarity, patient, and unruffled. No one witnessed the discipline behind these acts, yet each was an expression of mastery cultivated through months of silent struggle. He understood fully that true strength is not loud. It is invisible, manifested in precise, deliberate action and unwavering presence. In town, challenges arose, arguments, distractions, opportunities for ego to assert itself, but Takumi met each without reaction. The Ninpo method had taught him that attention is the ultimate weapon. He listened fully before responding, observed before acting, and chose action over impulse. Where once he would have been swayed by fear, pride, or desire for acclaim, now he remained anchored in presence. His strength was not in speed, force, or recognition, but in unshakable alignment of mind, body, and spirit. Takumi realized that mastery is a private victory. It is forged unseen, in silence, in the mundane, in moments when no one watches. The world may never know the extent of his skill or the depth of his discipline, but that did not matter. Every decision, every action, and every breath was informed by the unbroken warrior within. The invisible path he walked was not easier, nor did it offer applause. It demanded patience, courage, and unwavering attention. Yet it was the only path to true freedom and unshakable strength. As evening approached, Takumi paused atop a hill overlooking the village below. The sun cast long shadows, and the mountains behind him glowed with quiet majesty. He felt no need to conquer or impress. He had conquered himself. His heart was steady, his mind clear, and his spirit unyielding. The principles of the Ninpo method, presence, humility, focus, and stillness, now guided every step. The lessons of the mountain dojo were carried into the world beyond, subtle yet absolute. Takumi understood at last, the greatest victories are internal. They are invisible to others, unmarked by applause and unnoticed by the world, yet they form the foundation upon which every external achievement depends. His mastery was not a display, it was a way of being lived in every action, every thought, every moment. The unbroken warrior walks quietly, yet nothing can shake him. With calm determination, Takumi descended the path fully aware of the world around him, yet untouched by its chaos. Distraction had been vanquished, presence had been claimed, and his strength was unshakable. The warrior had become invisible, but invincible. The unbroken warrior conquers not the world, but himself. Discipline, presence, and courage forge strength that no eye can see, yet nothing can break.